August 25th, 2025, regular meeting of the Wasilla City Council is called to order. The time is 6 p.m. Before we begin, I kindly ask all council members to silence and put away cell phones. If you need to conduct personal business during the meeting, please make a motion to recess. For those participating by phone, please keep your device muted unless speaking. When speaking, please remember to state your name for the benefit of those viewing the live stream. As a reminder, this meeting is being broadcast live. The camera is located above the clock at the back of the council chambers. Our proceedings follow Robert's Rules of Order in accordance with Wasilla Municipal Code 2.04.090. To promote an orderly and respectful meeting, I respectfully ask the council to observe the following rules. Please seek recognition before speaking. No member may speak more than twice on the same motion without a vote to suspend the rules. No member may speak a second time until all who wish to speak have done so. These guidelines help ensure fairness, efficiency, and mutual respect in our discussions. It's going in and out, is it not?
It is a wireless system, so sometimes just like with the Wi-Fi, it just takes a
Okay.
minute. I'm confident we're getting a good recording.
Okay,
Thank you,
thank you.
Madam
These guidelines help ensure fairness, efficiency, and mutual respect in our discussions. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Cottle? Here. Councilmember Graham?
Here.
Councilmember Schmidt?
Here.
Councilmember Crafton?
Here.
Councilmember Velock?
Here.
Councilmember Rubio?
Here.
You do have a quorum, Madam Mayor. All members are with us in chambers.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilmember Crafton, would you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The first item of business is approval of the agenda.
Madam Mayor.
Mr. Crafton.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move item 8.4.3 AM number 2549 to new business, and if we could take it in order before the resolution 2529.
Are there any other changes?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to move 8.4.1 and 8.4.2 to new business. That's AM 2547 and 2548.
Through the chair to the council, do you want to take those just in numerical order or in the way they were called?
Numerical order is fine with me.
Thank
I
you.
think it helps our sanity.
Okay, are there any other changes? Hearing none. There's no more changes. I'll get it together.
Madam Mayor, I move to accept the agenda as amended.
Excuse me?
I move the agenda as amended. Is that what you were
I
looking
don't
for?
want you to do that. Is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion is approved the agenda is approved as amended. There's no special orders of the day. We are now at Commission and Agencies report. We will hear from Public Works Director Shaw on the Airport Advisory Commission.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Eric Shaw, Public Works Director. So last Thursday, we had our August Airport Advisory Commission meeting. There were no members of the public attending. We talked about the Taxiway Kilo bids that had come out that morning or the day before, and they gave their support on moving ahead with the project. And we talked about the master plan process that is due to be completed in October. And basically, it was a 30-minute recap on what we're doing at the airport. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Mr. Graham.
Thank you. So Mr. Shaw, I've had a lot of pilots talk to me this summer, and not a single one of them is disappointed in the changes that have been made out there. They say the airport is easier to get in and out. They say the runway is in much better shape than they're used to seeing it. As a matter of fact, several instructor pilots that usually have been using Palmer to come out and do their takeoffs and landings, touch and goes, that thing have changed to Wasilla. So on behalf of the dozen or so pilots that have talked to me over the summer, congratulations on what's going on out there.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. Yeah, we've been working really hard out there. I'll just let you know that we started our crack sealing for this season out there. We're done with the third that we do every year as we rotate through, and you'll see the roads team out on roads crack sealing when weather allows.
Okay. All right, we are now at public hearing. There's one ordinance scheduled for public hearing. Madam Clerk, please read the ordinance by title.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ordinance serial number 2526, amending the fiscal year 2026 budget to accept and appropriate up to $12 million in Federal Aviation Administration grant funds for Taxiway K and related improvements at the Wasilla Municipal Airport, authorizing the mayor to sign the grant agreement and transferring $4,100,000 from the general fund balance to the airport fund to provide the required city match.
The public hearing on ordinance serial number 2526 is now open. Anyone wishing to testify, please come forward and begin by stating your first and last name. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person.
Madam Mayor, Council, Tim Johnson, city resident. Just 3 minutes, huh? Thank you, by the way, for including the map. I have the proposed work that really helped my understanding of the project going forward. And like Councilman Graham, the comments that I've heard from pilots has been very positive. The one negative that I have heard is the number of tie-down spots available and the length of the tie-down spots, the list for tie-down spots in the future. So I'm not sure whether or not the new apron, as in attachment C or 3 in the project map, will include more tie-down spots, but I'm certainly hoping so. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to testify on this at this time? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. Is there a motion to adopt? Does this go first? Is there a motion to adopt ordinance serial number 2526?
Madam Mayor,
Mr. Crafton,
move ordinance serial number 2526.
is there a second?
Rubio seconds.
It's been moved by Councilmember Crafton and seconded by Councilmember Rubio to adopt ordinance serial number 2526. Is there discussion?
Madam Mayor.
Mr. Crafton?
Thank you, Mayor. I do have some questions, but I think a lot of these questions might get answered if we just kind of heard a summary and a walkthrough of where we're at with here and kind of what we're getting from Mr. Shaw. If we could, Mayor.
Eric?
Thank you, through the mayor. So, yeah, we're very excited to be talking about this grant application today. Looking forward to support from the council. So, last Wednesday, we opened the bids for the Taxiway Kilo extension, which is adding a substantial amount of tie-down space and new lease area on the Menard side of the airport. We had 11 successful bidders. There was actually a 12th that wasn't able to complete some paperwork in time, but they still attended the bid opening. So this breaks all records with our consultants and I think with the city for the number of bids. So if you recall back to our bidding atmosphere for Taxiway, Apron E expansion, we had 9 bidders and that was exceptional, and so 11 is even more amazing. The 11 bidders came in from a high bid of 12.2 million basically down to the low bidder of 8.2 million, which is Aetna LLC. The second and third bidders were within 250,000 of each other. So Granite was the second low bidder at 8.5 million, and Scarcella Brothers was the third bidder at about 8.8. The request tonight is to give the mayor the authority to sign the grant agreement with FAA, which is it has a rush to it because the FAA is approaching the end of their fiscal year, so they have to have the approved grant signed by September 17th, which is why you see a packet with a bunch of additions. I included a memo that talked about the bidding atmosphere, talked about some recommendations that we have with the funding request. Mr. Ted Leonard included a memo as well. We've been bringing the council as much up-to-date information as possible. You actually have a handout tonight that has more information on the exact grant application with the FAA. But basically the way it works is our relationship with the FAA is that they will match about 95% of the project. So we have a 5% match that we have to put in, and they pay for 95% of the basic project. And what that means is they will pay for the connection to the runway, they'll pay for the taxi way in front, they'll pay for some more hard stand parking, they'll actually pay for part of the road that will lead up to this facility, some of the utilities for that, and then the remaining funds that we're talking about tonight continue to complete the leasable area. The FAA does not pay for that, so that's where we see the request still for 4.1 million, so that we have a complete project that is ready for multiple aviation companies to come and set up home base at Wasilla. We are very excited that this project is in one large project. Initially, when we were designing it with our consultants, we were expecting to have kind of the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 attitude as we did with Apron E expansion. Through an amazing relationship with our legislators and our congressional delegation, and having a very, very good relationship with FAA, they came back to us and said, no, bring it to us as one package. And so that we put it into high gear to do that. We really appreciate HDL pulling out all the stops because that was not what we expected. And so they really pivoted and threw all of their aviation design team at this. And then to have such a great bidding atmosphere with so many interested parties, this has just really come together, and it's taken a dramatic amount of work from our Public Works Department, working with Finance, Mr. Ted Leonard and his staff, to make sure that we are dotting our I's and crossing our T's, because we don't want to miss this opportunity with the FAA, and they're doing their level best. There's multiple emails a day going back and forth, making sure that all the paperwork is ready, that it meets their mandates and their requirements. And so far, we're doing great for timing and collaboration as we talk about this project tonight.
Madam Mayor, if I could continue?
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. So you said, and from what I've read, the original projection of the project was over just a hair over $15 million, but we've got somebody saying, no, we could do this for not really more than 12 million. The FAA says they're only gonna fund 95%, and that also factors in certain allowable expenses. There are certain things that they're not going to cover. Basically, this is authorizing the mayor, to sign the agreement up to 12 million. So in this case, we're probably not getting the full 12, since the project isn't even gonna cost $12 million most likely. And then we're authorizing up to $4.1 million to be spent. How much are we expecting to spend of that 4.1 million, and how much is remaining of our cost, and what portion of the cost is ours as well? I didn't do the math on all of them, so.
Yeah, that's a great question. And if I get stuck on a number, I'll ask Mr. Ted Leonard to jump in. So you're correct that the request is to have the authority to sign up to 12 million. The grant won't be that large. The remaining funds, as we're calculating them right now, and as I mentioned, we're talking with the FAA multiple times a day, we're expecting a remainder of a little less than 550,000 out of the 4.1 million. And so the rest of it is going towards the extra, the work that's outside of the FAA's matchable, what they can pay for. And then it serves as project management costs and other ancillary unexpected costs that may come through the life cycle of this project. So we've been able to fine tune those numbers and have a slight remainder for, something that may come up during the construction.
Thank you. So basically, we're expecting to spend that entire 4.1 million is the plan.
Correct.
Which, I will say, if you read through here, normally the FAA requires a 93.75%. So actually, we're spending less money on this project than other FAA projects we've seen in the past and other projects that the FAA requires. It's a large pill to swallow, $4.1 million, but what we're getting out of it is quite a bit, so. Last question for me, I can't remember, do we use the middle bidder, is it the low, high, or do we take a median when we have this amount and we try and shoot for whoever's closest to that?
So federal procurement and our code says that we use the low bidder. And so what that means is that we have to have a ironclad set of contracts and specifications to make it abundantly clear to the bidding group out there what's expected, how they'll be paid. So as long as the paperwork comes through, Aetna is the apparent low bidder. And so what will happen is if this grant is approved tonight, then we'll be signing the documents with the FAA, and then we'll be bringing that contract back to the council for approval through an AM, and then we'll be bringing the other contracts that we'll have as well, which is the contract administration contracts, and there's other ancillary contracts that will go into this project that are factored into this cost estimate that we talked about tonight. So the council will, of course, again, see all of those contracts in the normal approval process.
Thank you, Eric.
Is there further discussion? Mr. Graham?
Thank you, Mary, and thank you, Eric. So, Aetna's gonna do this for, $8.5 million or so. And we told the FAA we were looking for 12 million. So in that flux there, that $3.5 million, if there are overruns, are they covered by the FAA or are they covered by the city?
So through the mayor, Mr. Graham, the FAA has a small percentage that they'll join us in the overrun cost escalations, but for the most part, it's the city's cost escalation to bear. And so that's why we'll have a very robust project management, contract administration team out there the whole time to watch out for those possible pitfalls.
Okay. Ted?
And through the mayor to Councilmember Graham, is it on? No. But anyway, due to the fact that these are reappropriation funds, FAA is giving us the total amount I would believe that they're going to cover anyway based on the end of their fiscal year. They had a pool of money at the end that didn't go through their regular projects that they could allocate out to cities or other airports. So yeah, I would say most of the risk, if there were any cost overruns or anything in the future, would be ours to bear.
Is there further discussion? Hearing none. Is there objection to the motion? Yes. we have to
Council members,
do-
if I may, Madam Mayor,
Yes.
in your packet is some amendments that I would love someone to offer, as recommended by our city attorney.
Madam Mayor,
Ms. Rubio?
I move to amend the title of the ordinance on lines 14 and 15 to strike out the semicolon after the word agreement and insert the words to transfer before the word for and strike the word transferring to read. In relevant part, authorizing the mayor to sign the grant agreement and to transfer $4,100,000 to read as follows. Do you want me to read all that or?
I have it, I'm clear, but does the council clear on the amendment?
Do the council members want her to continue to read the rest of it?
Do I have a second?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Yes. All right. Now, we are voting on the amendment.
Discussion, is there any discussion on the amendment?
Well, before we vote, do you just want to discuss it? Hearing none?
No, but I have another amendment.
Okay, you have another amendment.
So this amendment I'm gonna show is passed. That's amendment number 1.
Okay,
So I make a motion.
go.
Madam Mayor? Okay. I move to amend section 3 on the ordinance beginning on line 26 to insert after the word airport, the words that accepts up to 12 million in federal aviation grants funds for taxiway K and related improvements at the Wasilla Municipal Airport, and agree to the required match funds in the amount not to exceed $4,100,000 to read as follows. Again, do you guys want me to read all of that? We're good? Okay.
It looks like a general consensus is for you not to read all that.
Awesome.
Okay,
I just need a
okay,
second.
I need a second.
Graham seconds.
Okay. Then we vote on this, right? Okay, we are voting on the proposed amendments, 1 and 2. So do I have a motion?
Or, Madam Mayor, if I may.
Motion's already there.
Yep. Or just right now, if there's any objection to the passage of amendment number 2, as just read.
Hearing none, amendment number 2 reads. And now we're back to the main motion. 25-26 as amended. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion passes. Okay. We are on to persons to be heard. It's a time for members of the public to share their views with the council. Please note that this is not a question and answer period. Speakers may be referred to administration and items raised may be taken under advisement. Mr. Stearns, you're up.
Good evening. My name is Tom Stearns. I'm the Senior Ambassador for the Wasilla Area Seniors Incorporated. You have a flyer here. This is very important. We are in dire need of drivers. Wasilla is in immediate need of Meals on Wheels drivers to transport home-delivered meals, and also transportation drivers for transporting seniors to doctor's appointments, treatments, etc. If you know anybody that could help us in this, we would very much appreciate it. There's a phone number on there to give us a call. Secondly, we have board members will be elected in October, but if you're interested, you need to apply by the 15th of September. We have been giving out farmers market coupons. We've been doing that on Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. However, we are now only doing it on Mondays and Tuesdays at the senior center. Now, in September, on Fridays, if you are in need of some encouragement, I would suggest that you come to WASI and get involved in our laughing yoga on Fridays at 12:30 in our little gym. I'm sure that you will leave encouraged. The State Fair, as all of you know, that's going on. WASI is giving a ride to the fair for seniors on the 28th, which I believe is Thursday. The next Board of Directors meeting is on the 18th of September. And then you have this flyer. This flyer, although it's not right away, it's in October, is our Harvest Brunch fundraiser that we did last year. It was a great success, and we're gonna do another one this year, and we'd like all of you to participate and be involved in that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Stern. Next up is Tim Johnson.
Madam Mayor, City Council, as we start to enter the,
Mr. Johnson, please state your name for the record.
I'm sorry, Tim Johnson, city resident. As we start the campaign season for the upcoming election, I've started to talk to my friends, my families, my neighbors, and whatever, and I have found a nearly zero knowledge that there actually is a city election on October 7th. We always know that the off-season elections have a very poor turnout, sometimes as little as 500 people, which is abysmal for a city like this. Therefore, I'm going to make two recommendations to advertise what is happening in our city. Number one, I would like to see election notices, like a banner, posted at least at our two major parks, Iditarod and Newcomb, because those have a high rate of people, young mothers, families coming into those parks. And those are the people that I've talked to that have no idea that the election is happening. And possibly a banner at the library as well. I'm talking about a big kind of posted banners that you could see as you drive past and, or participate at those events. Number two, this will take a resolution by the city council, and that would be to allow campaign signs to be posted in conjunction with the signs for advertising the election at the city parks, not the library for obvious reasons. It's a polling place. Anyway, I think that if we could stir up some more interest, we could probably have more people showing up and actually participating in the election. Thank you.
Okay. With that, I will close public hearing and move on to the consent agenda. Madam Clerk, please read items for approval under the consent agenda by title.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have introductions recommended for public hearing on September 8th, 2025. First is ordinance serial number 2528, amending the fiscal year 2026 budget by accepting and appropriating a 15% increase to the Federal Aviation Administration grant in the amount of $596,763 for the Expand Apron E project. With that is IM number 2513, Airport Funding Sources Information. Second is ordinance serial number 2529, amending the Wasilla Municipal Code, Chapter 3.50 to amend Section 350.020C, titled Types of Positions and Appointments, to clarify temporary employment limits and authorize mayoral interim appointments. And those are our items under the consent agenda.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as read?
Madam Mayor, I move the consent agenda as read.
Is there a second?
Madam Mayor, I second that. Oh, sorry.
It has been moved by Councilmember Crafton and seconded by Councilmember Velot to approve the consent agenda as read. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved. There is no unfinished business, so we'll move directly to new business. There is one resolution scheduled. There's two resolutions.
We moved the AMs.
These AMs, all three of them? Okay. Madam Clerk, would you please read the AMs scheduled for public comment under new business?
Councilmember Graham, or Council, do you want to take AM 25, 47 and 48 as a pair, since they both relate to the police vehicles? One is purchasing the vehicle, the other is outfitting, or you'd prefer to take them separately?
I would prefer to do them together.
Together, thank you. So, up for approval is AM number 2547, contract award to Swickard, Alaska Two LLC in the amount of $170,160 for the purchase of 3 police package Chevrolet Tahoes. And with that is AM number 2548, contract award to Alaska Safety in the amount of $74,712 for the purchase and installation of equipment for 3 Chevrolet Tahoe police package vehicles. AM numbers again 2547, 2548.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve AM, for public hearing, AM number 2547 and AM number 2548?
Madam Mayor, I move to approve AM 2547, 2548. These are not moving for public hearing, they're being moved for approval.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Graham and seconded by Councilmember Mark to approve the consent agenda, or to approve AM 2547 and 2548. Is there discussion? Mr. Graham?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the reason I moved these out is, we spent an inordinate amount of time this year on putting together the budget. And I really wanted to commend the chief and Mr. Leonard for being able to bring these vehicles in accordance, with the budget that we approved. Now, I realize that we're dealing with numbers that the state provided, which is good, but given the fact that it took us several years to recover from COVID, where we had to buy vehicles off the lot and pay, I won't say extraordinary amounts, but considerably more than we had budgeted, I just wanted to bring forward that this is nice to get back to normal, and it's nice to see that we can, predict our expenses a whole lot better. So I recommend approval.
Okay, is there further discussion? Hearing none. Is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Madam Clerk, please read the next item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. AM number 2549, contract award to Alaska Municipal League in an amount not to exceed $60,000 for professional planning support services.
Is there a motion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
move AM 2549.
Is there a second?
Rubio seconds.
It has been moved by Councilmember Crafton and seconded by Councilmember Rubio to approve AM number 2549. Is there discussion?
Madam Mayor.
Mr. Crafton?
Thank you, Mayor. This will probably go to our acting planner here and deputy administrator. I read through this. It sounds really great. I know we've struggled with our planning department here, hiring a planner specifically. Was just curious to see if we could get a little bit more background on what the exact goals are of having this, as well as how it's going to benefit the city, and I guess more so long-term what it looks like as well.
Yes, to Councilmember Craftman through the mayor. So this is something that AML has continued to advocate the last 3 years, is that if cities have short-term or long-term planning needs, that they've got approved contractors in a contract position. So they've went out and they've vetted 3 or 4 different companies that have certified planners that can work on tasks for us. And so some of the things that we've reached out for is we're right now doing a parking analysis. We're looking at, where are we at with our standards under Title 16? Are they appropriate for where we are? We also get applications for conditional use permits, and we like to have a planner look at them just to ensure that we are in compliance with our own code. And then the last thing is, as we go through the process of approving Title 16, is to get that information out to the public in a very simple, third-grade manner, and to just have the second pair of eyes that can look at that and make sure, yep, it checks all those boxes. So it's likely we might not use any of those funds, but it's also when we get a permit in for another hotel, we want to make sure that we have all our ducks in a row when it comes to approving those permits.
Madam Mayor, if I could continue to
Mr.
follow.
Crafton?
Thank you. So what would this look like for the average person day to day? Because from what I understand right now, when somebody calls into the planning department, they talk with our planning clerk, and sometimes she's able to answer the questions right offhand based on what she reads in the code. Other times it's, hey, we need to schedule a meeting with the planner, sit down with the planner and talk about this process here. How is that going to look if we don't technically have somebody physically here? Is what it sounds like.
Yes, so right now, this is something that we've been piloting the last few months. We've had a contract planner, and we'll put the package together, so the entire CUP package will be complete, and then we'll reach out and have a planner go through the documents to ensure we haven't missed anything, especially when it comes down to the downtown overlay, where you're talking about these really small lots, we're talking about dimensions, and things that we want to make sure we get right from the get-go. So it's really on an as-needed basis. I reached out to him this last week just to ensure that the parking report that we compiled was correct, and it was, aligned with our current code, and then also some recommendations from other cities around the state. AML has done a great job collating all this information from other cities, so we don't have to figure this out ourselves. And so to increase that partnership, I thought this would be the best way to go, because they already have contracted planners that we can access if we need them. So it won't change the day-to-day as much as it will specific scenarios, or we might need that extra lift.
Might have some more, but I'll let Rubio go. No, go ahead. Well, I guess long-term, what are we thinking with this? Is this something where, I know Mr. Graham and I have talked about this in the past, where we've discussed, that one, the struggle of us finding a planner, and two, we're a smaller city. I mean, do we need a full-time planner on staff that's costing us 6 figures plus benefits? Is this something that could be a long-term solution for us?
So we have been in that same discussion internally, the administration has, and one thing is we did revise the planning description a little bit. We put it back out last Monday. We have gotten some very good applicants. We're gonna try that again as our first solution. But we also understand that, the open for business model that we have, it has to stay aligned with the planning policies. And so we work very closely with economic development and planning. So as we go through and update the comp plan, and we do Title 16 rewrite, I think there should be a planner that is here day to day to serve in that capacity.
So you're saying overall it's best that we have somebody here. I mean, if we had, and I know the conversation we've had in the past is this in between where we have the jump from the planning clerk to the planner, where the planner is almost dealing with things that say is below her pay grade or his pay grade sometimes. So we needed that in between to deal with a lot more of those kind of fill in the blank, check in the boxes, just making sure all the ducks are in a row before we go through, talk with the planner. Is that where you're feeling like this is gonna fit in then, where we're gonna say, hey, let's let our planner do their job instead of sitting at a desk all day, just having meetings and making sure people are filling out their permits correctly or their applications correctly?
I think you have summarized that very well. In fact, we had AML come out here and spend a day with our planning department to just do an analysis of the different roles that we have and what we're doing, and they gave us a very good report. They said this is a good blueprint for you guys to follow in the next year and the next 5 years, and they recommended a planner, and I would be okay sharing that with the members if you guys would like to read that report that they did for us for planning.
I'd be interested, and sorry, last question if I could, Mayor. Would this mean that we would be looking at changing again, or it sounds like we have somewhat changed the description of our planner to say, hey, we're doing this differently. I mean, obviously this person isn't gonna need to be paid what we thought they needed to be paid because we're giving them less work per se. We're changing what they're doing. Is that what we're gonna be considering?
Well, over the last 18 months, planning and public works have become we've worked very closely together. And we've worked closely because when the permit comes through, the initial, what used to be the initial review by the planning department didn't always include public works. And this is very expensive infrastructure sometimes when you're talking to applicants, that you want public works in there right away. You wanna have access to GIS so you can look at the maps, and you can have the permit as comprehensive as possible. So the planner in the future is gonna have to work very closely with Public Works to make sure that we are accessing the tools that we need and that we are really planning. We had a situation last week where, an applicant comes in, it's a simple parking lot, but the parking lot that they wanna put in is heated. And so then that is when we pull Public Works in, what if they put this paved, heated parking lot in here, and what if we have to access our utilities, and who's going to pay for that? And that stopped the contractors and said, that's a good question. So those are the things that planner needs to take the time to have those conversations, follow up with the documentation, and making sure that our permitting process is really tight and comprehensive, and it has both Public Works and planning involved in very, very initial stages.
Thank you.
Is there further discussion? Mr. Graham?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Crystal. That was a good discussion there. So we did not budget for this position, this professional services position. I see Ted nodding yes over there. Yes, we did budget for it, or?
We had,
Or let me finish my train of thought here. Or are we gonna use the unspent personnel funds from having a vacant planner to pay for this? How are we paying for this?
through the mayor to Councilmember Graham, we had 75,000 in other purchase services, and 60 of that is going to be used for this in the planning budget. So it isn't planning to move money from that vacancy right now in the planner down to that line item. Am I correct, Crystal? I wasn't part of that.
And also, you mentioned that the Alaska Municipal League, or AML, has been offering this shared services program for about 3 years now. When we put it in place, and AML has swelled from a staff of about 3 people to almost 50 people. And the reason part of the reason that shared services program is so successful is because you get this conglomeration of knowledge in one place, which is great. So we're not reinventing the wheel. And number 2, we're not paying, benefits and paying for PERS to get expert level services that we need. So yeah, congratulations to you for reaching out to AML.
Ms. Rubio.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Crafton, you almost hit every one of my bullet points that I was going through, but question for you, the city attorney cost. Based on the review of recent invoices, the city attorney is providing significant costly services to the planning department beyond Title 16. Is there a plan to reduce that reliance on legal services by building in-house planning capacity?
To Councilmember Rubio, through the mayor, that is an excellent question, and it brings the relevancy of Title 16. So Title 16 eliminates use permits. Use permits is a very costly practice because when a permit comes through, we have to do public notification with all their neighbors, and then we have to do another analysis to see if it goes up to the planning commission or if we want to approve it. And so those costs, before we send anything out, we have had legal look at those just to ensure that, because most of them are pretty contentious. If your neighbor doesn't like you now, they aren't gonna like you when they get a public notice. And so that has been eliminated. So when we get a non-use in a district, it automatically goes to the planning commission, and that will reduce those legal fees that we have had to deal with for use permits. Would you say that's a fair statement?
Yeah, I think one of the things to note too is we are getting manuals and processes and all of these pieces in place so that they can't step away from relying as much on legal when they have AML services to lean on. So, for example, nuisance enforcement, Title 16 enforcement, nuisances under Title 16, and that enforcement component as well as the permit review component. Those are the ones that we're trying to get sort of dialed in and to create templates and to create sort of a system that hopefully the AML team combined with your city team can navigate, and only bringing us on board if they say have a appeal of a conditional use permit or questions regarding criteria that are sort of outside a very bright line application of the land use laws.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, if I can, no one else wants to talk. So do we, I know that Councilman Crafton asked, but is the administration current plan of timeline for hiring a credentialed professional? Do we have to fill in this critical role? Do we have a timeline? I mean, it's great that we're reaching out and we're using AML and we're using a subcontractor, but what is the forecast with administration?
We have been putting out applications for a city planner. And the ones that have applied, there was just not a fit. And you know what happens, you guys have all been here when the planner don't fit. So we're very careful with it. And we just got, and Kim, correct me if I'm wrong, but did we not just get a couple more applications in this week?
The position closed last Friday. We have one candidate that looks very promising, so we're trying to get those interviews scheduled for next week.
That's
So
reassuring.
it's not like we've not been trying.
Right, no, I emphasize the urgency of hiring a credential for the city planner. I mean, it's gotta be harsh on the staffing issue. It's foundational need that directly impacts the city's ability to manage growth, enforce code and plan for the future. So it's a vital role for sure. And so I love that the staff, like I said, administration is on it. That makes me happy, thank you.
Okay, because we want a planner that does something besides sit in the office and write code. Anyway, is there further discussion? Hearing none. Is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion passes. We are now, there's one resolution scheduled for public comment. Madam Clerk, please read resolution serial number 2529 by title.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ratifying a 3-year collective bargaining agreement between the City of Wasilla and the Wasilla Police Department Employees Association, WPDEA, for the period July 1, 2025 through June 30th, 2028.
Okay. Public comment is open on resolution serial number 2529. Anyone wishing to testify, please come forward and begin by stating your first and last name. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Chief?
Before we start public comment, can I say a few?
Absolutely.
Council, Mayor, one of the things, before, when I began my career here at Wasilla Police Department in 2006, I was here as a patrol officer coming down for Fairbanks when I started my career in late 2004. Moved down from the Fours and Tundra of Fairbanks, and I was excited to kind of start my career here. And over the years, I have seen a lot of change with Wasilla PD, to include, I was probably on my 9th chief by the time that I left in 2019. And I left in 2019 as a patrol sergeant, and I left state, family decision to leave state for a little while, to go to a very large agency that was down in the lower 48. While I was there, I got to see firsthand, with a sheriff's office that was quite large and with a county that had multiple different departments within that county, of the challenges that faced for staffing levels when they come into COVID. I got to see kind of firsthand some of the initiatives and some of the things that were kind of happening and what different departments are doing nationwide to address this nationwide shortage of officers. Still having a big connection to the area here, dealing with our personal stuff. I visited quite a bit, stayed in touch with the members of Wasilla PD. And got to see that transition of how COVID affected not only up here in Alaska, Wasilla. It really reduced the amount of travel coming back up, which we needed to do quite a bit. So I got to, which led into working at the Sheriff's Department. When I was able to gratefully come back in 2022 to serve proudly as the chief here for the next, unforeseen time. I come in at the very tail end of a contract that was 95% already negotiated and towards the end. And I looked at that as my footprint of how we can kind of work and move forward and what that can look like for the next time taking over from what interim chief at the time Andrew Long was a part of. And I was able to apply a lot of those things that I saw with growing COVID, staffing shortages nationwide, and how do we apply that to a community with the challenges that we have here. I've said multiple times during our meetings that we've had, our updates, that and we all know it, that Wasilla is facing a tremendous growth in this area, and I just heard again today that it was pretty acknowledged that the Manitou Valley is the largest growing in the state. From my look, as I look at a department that must, keep pace with the increasing demands of our residents, visitors, our businesses, there are multiple businesses that are coming in our expanding neighborhoods. This agreement that you guys are going to see tonight, it helps supports the hiring and retention of skilled officers, dispatchers, call takers, and the support staff that we have to keep our community safe and well served. As everybody knows, the negotiation committee would include myself, the MATCOM manager, HR, finance, WPDA, part of when we were in negotiation, and our city attorney. We work diligently to an agreement that improves the wages for similar face communities like ours. And it strengthens the ability to retain and hire skilled personnel, and that's for me is including the officers that are trying to pull from Anchorage. While you'll see there that the wages in this contract they're significant. There's no question about it, they're significant. But however, WPD will still remain on the lower end of our competitors. But nonetheless, these improvements provide us with the resources to retain personnel that we need to have Wasilla continue to grow. Just want to take a few minutes to kind of do a little background on kind of where we're looking forward to, and I'm excited to move forward with this. I think that it's going to help tremendously. Again, thank you, Mayor and council members, for your time and your consideration for this agreement. And I look forward, if you guys have any questions during executive session, that I can be able to answer those for you in better detail.
Thank you, Chief. Is there anyone else? Please begin your testimony by stating your name, and you have 3 minutes.
My name's Officer Ryan Hellman. I'm the president for the Wasilla Police Department Employees Association, covers the police department and MATCOM. For about a year leading up to this negotiations, we had set up meetings every single month of the association between MATCOM and the police department to get a comprehensive list together that we had been collecting since last negotiations. Now, last negotiations took quite a long time, a lot of meetings and a lot of back and forth. And there were a lot of things that we felt that we missed on the last one. This one, I feel like, went extremely well. I think we had 4 meetings total to go over the entire contract and come to an agreement, which was very nice for us. As Chief alluded to, we're trying to partner with management in the city as best we can to come up with things that we think are unique, that will attract people. I think there's a couple things in here that we got that I don't know any other department in the state, I might be wrong about that has that stuff. One of those things is our wellness leave program that we've come up with. And then the other one is the longevity bonuses, the way that we got them structured, which will be really nice for some of the people that have been here. I think one of the things a lot of the other departments do wrong in the state is they try really hard to attract new people by giving out all kinds of money and bonuses. And those historically we've seen haven't really worked. So you take care of the people that are here, that are working, that are staying loyal, and those people will speak for the department. Those people will speak for MATCOM and get the people coming in. And it is nice to make a little more money, but we feel obviously it's deserved, and we feel that that's what the public expects us to spend our money on. Public safety is one of the main things that I think people expect their tax dollars to go to. I hear it on traffic stops all the time that they pay my bills. So, but we really appreciate the city's, the team that they put together this time was great. We really had a great relationship, good communication back and forth. Obviously, like Chief said, it's a significant increase for us, but we really hope that you guys will see that in context with the people we're competing against, which is AST and APD. And now while we understand we're not gonna make APD and AST money, I think being able to be competitive, and the more that we grow, we're gonna need to have more officers and the ability to pay those officers a good living wage. Other than that, appreciate your guys' time. That's all I got.
Is there anyone else? Mr. Johnson?
Tim Johnson, city resident. On page 2 of the resolution, there's the chart comparing, which I'm assuming is the Wasilla contract versus the other police departments. We compare very well to Anchorage, with the exception of year 5, where we're off by $1.50. After going to the state fair and talking to the recruiters there for both ASD and Anchorage, I think they're maybe out recruiting us. I don't know, but that would be just my offhand comment. So again, without knowing all of the details, my offhand comment would be, well, I really like what I see, except for, are you sure that in year 5 that we're not shorting ourselves for $1.50 an hour? Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Hearing none. We are now at executive session. Madam Clerk, please read the title of the executive session item.
Thank you. Update on contract negotiations with the Wasilla Police Department Employees Association for matters which the immediate public knowledge of would clearly have an adverse effect upon the finances of the city.
Is there a motion to enter into executive session?
Madam Mayor,
Ms. Rubio?
I move to enter into executive session for matters the immediate public knowledge of which would clearly have an adverse effect upon the finance of the city, specifically to discuss the collective bargaining agreement between the City of Wasilla and the Wasilla Police Department Employees Associations. Those present in the executive session will be the council, mayor, city clerk, attorney, finance director, police chief, HR manager, and MATCOM manager.
Okay. Is there a second?
Cottle seconds.
It has been moved by Councilmember Rubio and seconded by Councilmember Cottle to enter the executive session. Is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the council will enter executive session in the council conference room. The time is 6:58 p.m. Yes.
If I may, if there's no objection from council, we have Attorney Jennifer Alexander here, who is our labor attorney, and Holly Wells left, correct, exited the meeting, so.
Okay. Everybody. back on the record at 8:47. Is there a motion to exit executive session?
Madam Mayor?
Mr. Crafton?
Thank you, Mayor. I move that we exit committee of the whole. Or no, sorry, we're in executive session. That's what it was.
Okay, is there a second?
Cottle seconds.
It's been moved by Councilmember Crafton and seconded by Councilmember Cottle to exit executive session. And I've already said the time. Is there a motion to adopt resolution serial number 25-29?
Madam Mayor, I move to postpone, what do we have, resolution serial 2529 to the next regular meeting.
Through the chair to the body under Robert's Rules of Order, actually, you need a main motion to adopt, and then the motion to postpone is in order, but if you guys want to override that.
Madam Mayor,
Mr. Crafton?
I move that we approve resolution serial number 2529.
Is there a second?
Rubio seconds.
It's been moved by Councilmember Crafton and seconded by Councilmember Rubio to adopt resolution serial number 2529.
Madam Mayor, I move to postpone resolution serial number 2529 to the next regular meeting.
Is there a second?
Madam Mayor, I'll second the motion.
There's been a motion made to postpone resolution serial number 2529 by Councilmember Graham and seconded by Councilmember Crafton. Is there a discussion?
Madam Mayor.
Mr. Crafton?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say, since we have people here present, obviously we're there for 2-ish hours. Just after some long discussion, we felt we just need a little bit more time to digest and come back before we made any final decisions. So in favor of postponing to the next regular meeting.
Is there further discussion? Hearing none. Is there an objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion is adopted. And we are back to the, are we back to the main motion? No, we're on communications. Okay, we are now at communications. Madam Clerk, please read the item by title.
Item number 2512, notice regarding publication of city clerk notices.
Okay, we are at audience comments and seeing no audience, we will close audience comments and bring it back to the dais. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Let's see. Just we'll see you all here next regular meeting, September 8th. I think that's all I have. Also, if anybody's interested, I will say this, the review board, which is the election, our first election board that meets to test the tabulators that will be used in the election. So we do a hand count of the ballots, and then the board comes in and tests the accuracy of the tabulators against the hand count. They'll be meeting here August 28th at 1 p.m. here in Chambers. That meeting is open to the public if you're interested.
Madam Attorney. I have nothing. Councilmember Cottle.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a quick note, on page 21 of 191 of our packet, there was a typo for the expenditure for apron E FAA, and Finance is aware of it. And the correct numbers are on the preceding page, just so if anybody happens to catch that, it is, Finance is aware of it and is taking care of that. So other than that, was able to attend the AML conference and preceding board meeting at GAPIC. Takes a little practice to say that name correctly. Barrow was much easier, but was a good conference. Missed fellow council members that were supposed to come, but because the flights were canceled due to volcanic ash. It was an interesting, smaller version. And the last morning we were there, I looked out the window at 5:30 and it was snowing, and it was like, be good to go home. But it was good to be up there in Barrow, and you know, a little different. Got to see lots of whale bones and things like that. It was very interesting, you know, so much different than what we're used to here, but it was still a very good, informative conference, even though it was a little more abbreviated than maybe would have been. A lot of the speakers couldn't get there on the planes, but AML did a really good job about keeping everything going and replacing speakers and stuff like that. And I'm glad that those of us that were there, that we went. And that is all I have.
Councilmember Graham.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, staff, for hanging out while we hash things out in executive session there. So appreciate all of your work and all of you being here. To add on to, Councilperson Cottle's, talk about Alaska Municipal League, our city, has 3 seats on the board. We are the most represented city on the Alaska Municipal League. So we have the opportunity to shape the league, to help determine, how it can best help cities. I mean, we're a mid-sized city, even though we're one of the larger cities out there, we're a mid-sized city. Anchorage has several 100,000 people. We have less than 10,000 people. Palmer has about 6,000 people or something like that. There's just not a lot that can happen unless you can put people in the right place. So, we're fortunate to have, the mayor on the board, Councilperson Cottle, and myself on the board there to help things along. And one of the things, that we talked about actually deals fairly directly with, what we talked about in executive session, talking about recruiting and, something we talk about all the time. AML is going to try and start recruiting some youth, 18 to 24-year-olds, and send them to the winter conference, so that they can learn about government. Nobody comes, out of high school and says, yeah, I want to go be a bureaucrat and be on the city council. That's not happening, but that doesn't mean that they don't have valuable things to say. So we'll be bringing up more about that program later on and getting some funding for it so that we can find somebody from our area that can go and participate, and in part because your board members have said that that's important, that we bring people in when they're young and introduce them to government. Doesn't mean they'll actually have anything to do with it, but at least they'll understand it. And like Mr. Johnson was concerned about, well, then they'll get out and vote. So that's a good thing. But thank you all for being here, and look forward to next time.
Councilmember Crafton.
Thank you, Mayor. Great meeting tonight. I know it's getting late. I really only had one comment, and today I had a call from the CEO of the YMCA of Alaska today. I've had many conversations with apparently a lot of the board members there over the last few years, and he shared with me that he actually had a conversation with the mayor and Scott here recently as well, and one of the board members had asked him to call me, so that's why he called me. And so really I wanted to see, after kind of a lengthy conversation around it, essentially they're interested in trying to partner with the city of Wasilla. And we didn't have a chance to fully vet out the conversation, but unless there's objection from the council, I'd be curious in learning more. And then if the administration's up for it, having them come forward to us and just say, hey, this is what we want to do. How do we start this conversation? That's basically what it was. So that's kind of the only, where I left it at was, what do you guys want to do? And where are we starting from here? So it sounds like this is something they've been interested in a long time, just haven't really had somebody that was willing to carry the water and have the conversation. And I'd love to hear what they're about. I've been really into adding more activities to the city of Wasilla, and so I wanted to see what they'd be willing to offer us. So again, unless there's an objection of some sort, I'd like to start working and having a conversation with them.
Through the chair. So you as an individual council member want to work with the YMCA?
Basically, what I do is have a conversation with them, see what they, basically, see if there's something, what they want to offer the city, and then with the administration's approval, have them present to the city what they're willing to do and how they want to partner with us. Basically, they want to build a YMCA. I mean, I know the gist of the conversation, but exactly how, and what their plans around that would look like. And just kind of let it go from there. What's that?
I don't know that you need permission.
I
from
don't
the
know,
auditor to-
but
yeah.
I'm more so
Thank
just
you. Yeah.
informing the council that I was gonna have the conversation so they're not blindsided when they come forward. And, I mean, it kind of opens the door if somebody wanted to join in on the conversation, they can, so, thank you.
Councilmember Rubio.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On that note, I remember looking out the window on the 11th and saying, how's the weather, guys? I'm getting on the plane tomorrow.
Yeah.
Jokingly, and then I didn't get to get on the plane, so, all things happen for all the right reasons, I guess. Anyways, that's all I have. Thank you.
Councilmember Schmidt.
Well, I want to say thank you for this. Sorry about that. I want to say thank you to the chief for answering all our questions for us. It's very informative, and it'll help us make the right decision moving forward with this big thing we're looking at here. And thank you, everyone, for being here tonight.
Councilmember Velock.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yep, I missed that trip too. But I heard that Alina and I both said, well, we'll just go to Costco and go home. Did you go to Costco?
I did not.
I did, okay. It was a good meeting. I wanted to thank the city attorney and the chief for all their contributions. And I just want to remind us as the council that, you know, I know it was told, hey, that's a big contract, we gotta go look through it, and, you know, but just remember that we're not running the day-to-day business, that we're looking at this monetarily wise, you know, what's good for the city for money, you know, is it gonna cost the city this much? You know, we don't decide, no, they need 2 bulletin boards in each department, not just one. You know, we don't do the day-to-day. So when you read through this, yeah, there's a lot there, but there's a lot that doesn't pertain to us. So you know, we're not there to make decisions on, is this a good contract? You know, it's how it affects. We have experts who, that's what they do, you know, they negotiate contracts with labor. They represent, you know, we have our representation. I just want us to definitely stay in our lane when it comes to contracts, because we're not negotiators per se. So just look at the money, how it affects the budget, and do we think it's worth it, you know? That's all, thank you.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you all for your time. Jennifer, thank you for coming out. You and Chief did, and Ted did an excellent job, I thought, explaining everything that, and Lori, that everybody asked, you know. So it's gonna be really interesting to see what happens.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, you'll see us in 2 weeks, if not before. So with that, unless there's